All right, this is lesson 3.4 today, and we're going to be comparing some fraction numbers, mixed numbers with fractions, and negative and positive. We're going to be comparing and ordering those. So this is our do now, our 4 do now problems. Go ahead and pause it right now and do page 156, number 3 through 6. All right, and when you're ready, push play again and we'll go over those. So the first one, it does have a visual model there for you. So it says, Yemi used these pattern blocks to solve a division problem. He found a quotient of 7. Which division problem was he solving? Well, he had 3 wholes and a half, divided in halves, and he wanted to know, we would find out how many that was. And I actually wrote that out and did check it by flipping the second. So dividing fractions is easy as pie. Flip the second and multiply, or take that reciprocal. Remember, reciprocal means to flip your fraction. And so we simplify first, and I do get 7 over 1, which is 7 wholes. So this would be the division problem that he was doing. All right, then we have Eric had 2 liters of water. He gave 42 hundredths of a liter to his friend, and then he drank 32 hundredths of a liter. How much water did he have left? So I went ahead and I subtracted these separately. I started with my 2 liters, lining up my decimals, and subtracted the 42 hundredths, got an answer, took my answer and subtracted again. Another way you could have done that is added together these 2 decimals and then subtracted from the whole amount. But at the end, you should have 1 and 26 hundredths of a liter left. All right, then we have to compare, and we have to see how many of these kids passed the test. So we're changing all of their fractions into a decimal so we can go ahead and compare which students passed the test. So it says, to pass the test, students must correctly answer at least 6/10 of the questions. Donald's score was 5/8. So 5/8 is a fraction that's difficult to put into a decimal. You can't easily turn 8 into a 10 or a 100, so we stick our bottom on the outside of the division problem. We divide and we get 625 thousandths. That is more than 6/10, because this would be like 0.600 comparing it to this, and this one is more. So Donald passed the test. Then we look to see if Karen passed the test, and her score is already 0.88. So 88 hundredths is larger than 60 hundredths or 6/10. So that thus Karen did pass her test. Then we have 3/5. And this one's easier because I can easily change 5 into 10 by multiplying the top and bottom by 2. I get 6/10, which is exactly 6 in the 10th spot. So Gino just passed the test. And then we have Sierra, 4/5. We change that to tenths, 8/10, and that is larger than 6/10. So all of them passed. Then it says Jonah mixes a 1/4 gallon of orange juice and a 1/2 gallon of pineapple juice to make punch. Each serving is 1/16 of a gallon. How many servings can Jonah make? So we start out with 1/4 gallon of orange juice and 1/2 gallon of pineapple juice. You're going to add those 2 amounts together. Here we have them. Remember, whenever you need to add fractions, you need a common denominator. So in order to make this 2 into a 4, you need to multiply the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. So we get 1/4 plus 2/4 equals 3/4. And then we're going to take our 3/4 and divide that into 1/16 servings. So 3/4 divided by 1/16. We have to flip the second and multiply, right? So we write 3/4 the way that it is, flip the second fraction, and multiply. Simplify. Whenever you have a multiplication problem with fractions, you want to check your diagonals. It will make it easier if you simplify first. So we have a 1 here and a 4 here. That'll give us 12 over 1, or 12 servings. Okay, so I feel like today's lesson is going to be pretty simple for you, because you know that positive numbers are larger than negative numbers, so that makes it simple. The other thing is that if you know how to put numbers on a number line, when you go to the negative side, you just have to flip it in your brain over to the other side. So we're going to talk about that a little bit as we go through these. So these are all negatives. This is a we do, so you're going to want to write this one down. They want us to start with the smallest number, because remember when you're pointing, this is saying this is less than this number. So the smallest number will go here first. So first I'm going to think of all these fractions as positive fractions. So let me put them on a number line. This will be 0 and 1. These all would come between 0 and 1, but they are negative, so they're actually going to happen down here at a -1. But we're going to put them first on the positive side. So half, I would divide this in 2. This would be 1/2. This one is 3/4, so I would divide this line right here into 4 sections. My 3/4 would go over here. And then if I divide my line into fifths, I would divide it a little bit differently here to 5 sections. That would be 1/2. So 2/5 is the smallest if they were all positive. But when you flip this all to the other side, -2/5 is actually larger than a -1/2, because you have to flip this so that it is equidistant from 0. So halfway is half here. This is halfway to the -1. Then we have 3/4. Our -3/4 is going to be down here. And this is always the smallest. The further down the negative line, the smaller your number. So usually this would be our largest positive number, but because it's our largest positive number, it is the smallest negative number. So this is where we will start. All right, let's try another one. This one I'd like you to try because I feel like I gave you numbers that are pretty easy to think about where they belong on a number line. You're going to have a number line that goes just a little bit larger. You probably want to have your 0 in the middle and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a good way to start. Go ahead and put those on the number line, and then we're going to start with the smallest number in the first spot because we're pointing to the smallest number. So pause your video and do that now. Okay, I'm going to put mine on. There's 3. 3 and a little over that. So this -6 4/5 is going to be the furthest smallest number on my number line. My next negative number will be next smallest. And then finally, my positive number will be greater. And the mouth is eating the bigger number. That is my largest positive number in that list of numbers. All right, let's look at this. This I would like you to look at, pause it, and you may really want to write this down. This would help you a lot on your test. These are just different ways of comparing and ordering fractions. So you could use a horizontal number line. You could use a vertical number line. Remember, horizontal, vertical. Or you could convert all your fractions to decimals. Then just compare using the greatest place value. So you start with the whole numbers, compare those, then you do the tenths, the hundredths, the thousandths. So you could convert them all to fractions. Okay, you could pause that and write it down if you'd like to. And then we are just going to go through these and discuss them. We're going to do them together. You could pause and write them all down so that when you go ahead and do these with me, you're already prepared. So what I notice about these first two is that they have the same denominator. So I'm going to use a number line, and I'll be honest, I prefer the horizontal number line. These are both negative numbers, so they're going to come between 0 and 1, -1. But I am going to first place them on my positive side and flip them over because that's easiest for me. So I'm going to cut my line into 5 pieces because my denominator is 5. 5 pieces there, and I'm going to also cut this line into 5 pieces. All right, now this one is, if it were up here, it would be 3/5, and this one would be 4/5. So I'd have to do 3 hops from the 0. 1, 2, 3. This would be my -3/5, and my -4/5 would be right up here. So the -4/5 is the smaller. Remember, this is always the smallest going this direction, the smaller number. So we point to that one. -3/5 is greater than -4/5. All right, the next one I have, I want to decide, actually I'm going to just put these on a number line again. This will go again between 1 and -1, and the 0's in the middle. 2/5 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 hops over, 2/5. This one, 3/4. I could chop my line into fourths, and that would be 3/4 up here. So remember, we want to flip these to the other side, and they have to be equal distance, so it's more going to make a rainbow when you move them over. This will be our -3/4, and this will be our -2/5. So 2/5 is greater than the -2/5 is greater than -3/4. All right, on this one, this one should be a little bit easier. Here we have 0, 1, 2, 3, -4, -5, -6. -6 is going to be further down the number line to the negative side, so that is smaller than the -4.2. All right, and another pretty easy one here, because we're going to start at the 0. This would be our -1, -2, -3, -4. And -2, this is a little over the or a little smaller than a -2, so it'd be a -2.4. This one would be a little smaller than the -3. It'd be between the -3 and the -4. So this one will be smaller. So -2/4 is greater than a -3/7. All right, hopefully the number lines will help you. Make sure you're drawing those and using number lines so that you can easily compare these fractions, these integers. All right, go ahead and start your Think Central assignment if you feel you have good notes.